know about you, but it took me years to learn how to say no when I was asked to do certain things. I don't know if I was trying to please people or if I just didn't have the confidence to know how to say no to a direct question. But every time I ended up saying yes, I was cross with myself, angry with myself, and resentful of the person who was asking me to do that thing. So today I'm going to share all the tips that it took me years to learn so that we can say no with confidence and keep those boundaries where we want to set them.
All eyes on me.
Hi, I'm Jane and welcome back to my channel. Thank you if you've subscribed. If you haven't yet, if you could subscribe to the channel, it lets me know what you want to learn about. So let's jump in with that rather uneasy area of how do we say no to people. Now, our lives are daily conversations. In fact, for many of us, our lives are nothing but a revolving door of conversations. We're speaking to colleagues, family, friends, strangers, workers, anybody around us, we are having conversations with them. And in those conversations, there's a high likelihood that at some point, someone is going to ask you to do something that you don't want to do. So today we're going to look at the skills to empower you to speak up and learn to say no. Now, before we even get into that, I want to preface this all by saying you need to do a bit of a mind shift. Because so often what happens is somebody asks us to do something. Would you please head up this committee? I'd love you to come to my event on Friday night, right? When the question comes our way, we feel aggravated and annoyed and sometimes uneasy, which leaves both parties unhappy. Because then, as I said, you end up saying yes, and then you're mad with yourself for having said yes. So what we do in this situation is we do a bit of a mind shift where instead of viewing that question as intrusive and a burden, we look at it as a compliment. The other person is asking us that question, not because they're trying to shove work our way or trying to drum up the numbers for their event. They're asking us because they genuinely think we're the right person for the job. They want us there, they enjoy our company, a variety of reasons. So when these questions come your way, shift your mind and give the other person the benefit of the doubt and think, wow, that's nice. They really would like me to do this or that. If we come in from that mind shift, the state that is normally following that is to say, thank you, right? When someone gives you a compliment, you will return with a thank you. So my first tip to get out the gate with saying no is in fact to either thank them or acknowledge, whichever is more natural in the situation. So thanking them, you start off your response simply by saying, oh, thank you for thinking of me, or I really appreciate the offer. You can thank them like that. Or you can simply acknowledge and say, oh, wow, I know that's important to you. Okay? By starting off with the thank you or the acknowledge, we're keeping the bridge of communication open. We haven't gone grumpy face, arms folded. Now they're cross with us, we're cross with them, the whole thing breaks down. We're open, we're sending positive message, we're either thanking them or acknowledging them. So the track of communication between us is open. Once you've done the thank you acknowledgement, move swiftly within that same sentence to a firm no. Just a no. I know that's important to you. Fortunately, I won't be able to attend. Thank you for thinking of me. I'm not going to be able to handle that. Right? It's just a no. No, I'm not doing that. That is a complete sentence. Leave it at that. Now, this is where I differ from a lot of other people. A lot of people will say, immediately follow up with a reason. No, no, no. Do not be tempted to give a reason, because I guarantee no matter how watertight your reason is, if the questioner truly wants you to either do that thing, attend that event, whatever it is, they will find a little gap in your reason and they'll go straight for it and collapse your reason. So say you say, oh, thank you for thinking of me for heading up the committee. However, I've got so much work on my plate at the moment. I'm absolutely slammed. I don't have a minute to spare. right? Now you've given them the reason. Can't do it because of all of these valid reasons. I guarantee 99% of the time they'll come back and say, well, good news. The committee only meets once a month, so immediately you only have to do this once a month. And I'll assign you an assistant. So immediately the work goes, now we're back and forthing. Now we're just in a barter. You're offering, they're offering you. No, don't go there. You said your no, live with it, right? If the event thing, for an example, though, you say to the person, thank you so much, but on Friday nights, it's really important I get home and start the weekend with my children. 99% of the time, they're going to come back and say, oh, good news, lots of people are bringing their children. In fact, we can have a room where all the children can play. Right, now we're bartering. This doesn't work. Do not provide a reason. You are entitled to say no. You don't have to provide a reason for your choice in this situation. So simply acknowledge your thank you, follow up with a clear no, and then stop speaking. There you have it. That's it. Takes a bit of courage. Remember, pause and breathe, all the things I talk about endlessly, and simply stand in your no. However, and I'm going to add a little point on here, you can consider what I do, which is offer an alternative. So now you've started off with a nice thank you or acknowledgement. You've then moved to a firm no. You can wrap this up with a nice alternative, if it works for you. So you could say something in terms of the committee. You said you know. You could say, however, once the committee's up and running and it's headed and it's been there, I'll happy to share some social media posts. I'll be happy to take the minutes at the monthly meeting. You can offer an alternative. In terms of the event, you can say to the person, I'm not coming, no. However, maybe in 2 weekends' time, you and I can grab a coffee, right? Or one evening we can go for a walk together and chat and catch up, right? So now you've offered an alternative, which means your no in the center is bookended by a very nice thank you or acknowledgement, and it's bookended on this end with the alternative. This is softening the blow to the person. Because remember, they really did want you there. It was a compliment. So we've said no in the nicest, most gracious way possible, but we still said no. We've said no, and we're standing in our no. This works. My last little tip, and this is the final thing that took me years to figure out. You don't have to give an answer in the moment. Remember, you're driving this conversation from your side, so you can buy yourself time. You don't have to be on the spot giving a yes or giving that no. And quite simply, I didn't realize that. I thought if someone asked you a question, you either said yes or you said no. Those are the two alternatives. And because I never felt strong enough to give the no, I always ended up giving the yes. And then I'm unhappy, I'm resenting them. It's not a good situation to be in. So if you don't feel strong enough in the moment to give that no, then buy yourself time. Say something like, thank you so much for offering me that position or to head up that committee. However, let me sleep on it. I'll come back to you in 24 hours. I'll text you at the end of the week. I'll give you a call tomorrow. Whatever you need to step back and then become strong in your no, right? You can buy yourself time. They're not going to force you to give an answer on the spot, right? Because when you do that to people, they usually just say no because you're forcing them to make a decision one way or the other, and then everybody is unhappy. So buy yourself time. For me personally, I like the straight out no. I like in the moment, in the conversation, give my thank you acknowledgement, give my no, offer an alternative if it works, and step away. But if that feels uncomfortable, step back, gather your resources, and then within the time limit you set, go back to them with your no. You just need to find out what works for you. I guarantee this is doable. The homework this week, the way to practice it, is a little bit more difficult because you can't really practice it in the moment. But what you can do is have these steps written out and just think through, maybe role model a question that came your way in the last month, days, weeks, whatever, and replay it. See how you would have liked to answer it. I guarantee this works. I have tons of videos that will work beautifully with this one. So keep layering on the skills, just link to this one here and keep putting those skills in place to become the super communicator that you know you want to be. Thank you as always for your time. I'll see you next week.
All eyes on me. I shine with every